You all can sit comfortably. Let's keep the spine erect, eyes closed. And as usual, we will chant 3 Omkars and Sahanavavatu prayer. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Open your eyes and welcome everyone to the third session of Yogaarthi. We all started in January and we are fortunate to have Dr. Ajinkya Navare with us today, who is going to talk to us about a very unique kind of topic, because reading the title itself, I'm sure we all are curious about what it is. So I think I'll request Sushma ma'am to please introduce him to all of us, and then we can start his talk.
Okay. Thank you, Susheta. And good evening, everyone. And today I'm actually really happy to introduce Ajinkya on this platform. And thank you very much, Ajinkya, to giving us an opportunity to introduce here and listen from you a very different and a very important topic nowadays. Ajinkya has worked as an assistant professor in OBHRM area at IIM Jammu over a year. He established Anandam, the Center for Happiness at IIM Jammu. Through this center, he offered courses on maximizing happiness for students of all long-term programs at IIM Jammu. Ajinkya holds a PhD in organizational behavior from IIT Bombay. His PhD research is on Karma Yoga at workplace and its impact on positive psychological outcomes. His doctoral work has garnered awards like Best Paper of the Conference Award of INDAM 2020 and the Best Paper in HR Track Award in Bangalore. He has also conducted a workshop on structural equation modeling for young faculty members and doctoral research scholars. Ajinkya holds MBA from Sidena Institute of Management, Mumbai, and Bachelor of Commerce in Accounting and Finance from University of Mumbai. His research interests include, and this is something which differs Ajinkya from the regular corporate people, I think. So his research interests include Karma Yoga, workplace spirituality, Indian management thought thought and positive organizational scholarship. So these are the areas where he has interest to do research on. So I again welcome Ajinkya to start with your topic. Please continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm very glad to be the part of this forum. I hope I'm audible, right? My voice is clear? Yeah, okay, thank you. So I'm very glad to be the part of this forum of Koham School of Yoga, and it's very heartening that Sushma ji is introducing me. So we are more like a family. We have worked together at IIT Bombay. So I would like to first of all thank Sushma ji and Sucheta ji for inviting me here and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts on my research in Karma Yoga at workplace and its impact on various aspects of different experiences at workplace. So uh, just to add, I'm not with IIM Jammu. Perhaps now I'm back in Mumbai. I'm working with SP Jain Institute of Management Studies and Research in Mumbai, and I'm working in the area of science of spirituality. So here I'm getting an opportunity to teach spirituality to young MBA students, and it's a very exciting experience. So being a management faculty, when I thought that instead of having the monologue and you watching my face all the time, so instead I have made a short presentation so that it will be a little interactive. And please forgive me if I commit any mistake, because I could see that many senior people are here. So all Gyanis and knowledgeable people are here. So whatever, if you like in my talk, the credit goes to my gurus, my guide, Professor Ashish Pandey, and all my mentors. And so that's, I would like to request host to please provide me with screen sharing rights so that I can share my presentation. Yeah, thank you. So even though I am introduced as a speaker of the session, I would say that I would like to be more as a facilitator of the session. So at any point in time, if you feel like adding something or asking any question or criticizing that, how did you get into this, or how did you got this particular framework or something like that, you're free to converse, and I will be very happy to have that discussion. I thought of keeping the
sorry,
name.
just one sec, huh? Ajinkya, sorry. So I have just muted everyone, but in case you want to ask something or contribute, you can use that digital hand. There is this reaction icon that you can see on the screen. So if you raise your hand, I'll be able to allow you to unmute. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So my presentation is visible, my screen. Yeah, okay, great. So I thought of keeping this name as Decoding Karma Yoga at Modern Workplace. The reason is we are not saying that we have brought something very different and nobody knew about it, or we are not claiming that. People knew about Karma Yoga, people knew about all these different theories, all these different principles right from the beginning. And I feel that that is how it is ingrained in our existence. It is ingrained in our culture that we are carrying. So we are not presenting something new. Perhaps I would say that we are trying to present it in a little different way, a way which may be more, I would say, more appealing to the working population, or I would say that a way which is more researchable or falsifiable. So that is why I thought that let us keep the name as Decoding Karma Yoga. I would like to share one anecdote. I was pursuing my PhD from IIT Bombay, so I used to travel from that time. I used to stay in Dombivli, so I used to travel by train to Kanjurmarg, then take an auto to IIT and come back. So when I was coming back from IIT in an auto, somehow that auto driver started talking to me about teachings of Krishna and teachings in Gita. And then he started telling me, we were conversing that some auto drivers, they are reluctant to come to Kanjurmarg because of the traffic and so on. So he said, sir, ye to hamara dharm hai. And the moment he said that, it actually struck me that, my goodness, even he is talking about something like dharma, and this is my duty, so I have to serve people and all that. And that made me realize that, boss, you're not inventing something. Perhaps you are actually inventing the wheel. People know it. We are just trying to build a narrative around it. And that is why I felt that instead of saying presenting Karma Yoga, let us say that decoding. It is already there. We are just trying to interpret it in our way, or I'm trying to interpret it in my way. We can say that. So I would like to begin this talk, I would say, or begin with this discussion with one very interesting quote, and it reads that the emphasis on the output focused approach would make the work mere labor, and it would suppress the human spirit. And I'm sure that we all would agree to it. Perhaps we all would have experienced it, that that is how it is happening nowadays, that people are more concerned about their results. People are more concerned whether they are able to achieve targets or not. And in all that race, we are actually missing that spirit of the work. And this statement, interestingly, appears to be a 21st century quote by any thinker or philosopher. But let me tell you that this quote was given by none other than Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan almost 100 years back. And unfortunately, I would say that his prophecy has come true. And if you look around, we can see that stress, burnout, depression are nowadays buzzword. We say it's a VUCA word now, and it is constantly changing. And with this constantly changing world, it is creating a lot of pressure. These are the few indicators coming from few countries across the globe, that the issue of stress, depression, anxiety, or it is very common, and it is costing not only human lives, but also the families are suffering. We all are aware of this, right? I don't need to convince you that this is what is happening, and that's why we need to go back to our roots. But these are the few statistical numbers, because I'm coming from research domain, so we have to support whatever we say. So these are the few numbers. And if I ask you that what is the reason behind all these miseries at work, anybody would like to share, or that what are your thoughts, that what could be the possible reason in this context? Okay, so fine. There are multiple reasons, right? People are not enjoying. There is a lot of pressure from work. Oh, sorry, something has come in the chat box. Internal conflicts. Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of conflicts among people. So there are interpersonal conflict. There are conflict within self. That what am I doing exactly, right? Yeah, Mrudula ji has raised hand. She would like to add something.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
performance pressure, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely, performance pressure, because if I'm left behind, then what will happen to me? So and then we have this natural tendency of catastrophizing, that what will happen to me, what will happen to my life, what will happen to my career, and so on. Then expectations, external influences, or expectations from seniors, juniors, all these are absolutely right answers. I mean, there is so we can have a roundtable discussion on what is the reason behind stress. So if I have to synthesize all these reasons, uh, then I would say that actually there is a lack of connection between my inner spirit and the kind of work I'm doing. And you would find that many of the times people ask that if you are not doing this, then what you would be doing otherwise? Or let us say that if I give you XYZ amount of money, which you can sustain for rest of your life, then what you will be doing? And then people will come up with the real answers, that I would like to pursue sports, I would like to pursue music, I would like to pursue this and that. So reason is that inner spirit of the work is missing, that there is a conjunction between the work and spirit is missing. And that's why now we are having the words, I always say in informal discussions, that nowadays we're talking about work-life balance. We often hear that term. Whenever I hear that term, it strikes me, because when we say work-life balance, it means we are assuming that work is different and life is different. And we are also assuming that work is without life and my life should be without work. So it means, are we taking out that spirit out of work? And that could be one of the important reasons behind all these miseries that we are looking at. And I think that is where the role of workplace spirituality comes into the picture. That if we are able to turn our normal work into something spiritual or something fulfilling, something nurturing, then probably we will be able to address these issues of stress, anxiety, depression, and whatnot. And that is where the field of workplace spirituality comes into the picture. So whenever we talk about workplace spirituality, we are grappled with three important questions, and these questions, uh, they are what what kind of work will make my life more meaningful, or what kind of work will make it will make my experience at work more spiritual. Then how can I perform, or how can I behave at workplace so that my experience will be more fulfilling? And then why I should do it? What should be the purpose behind my work? So if we are able to answer these three important questions, then automatically our experience at work will be more meaningful, it will be more joyous, and we would be able to keep the evil of work outside, right? So to get these answers, we referred to Bhagavad Gita, because it is a dialogue which happened at the battlefield. And I feel whatever, so if I have to revisit all the answers uh, in the chat box, that the reasons for stress. So now we can again connect that Gita was narrated at the time of Mahabharata, at the beginning of the war. So there was internal conflict. There were expectations that from Arjun that you have to win the war. Then there were external influences. There were expectations from your family, from your colleagues, from your seniors. There were personal aspirations. And in all that, you have to fight with your own people. So now, if we look at it from a work perspective, we can see that there cannot be any dreadful task than fighting a war against your own people. So if a problem of stress can be solved at the battlefield by one simple technique, then I'm sure that our problems are not too difficult to be solved in our own life. So that is where it intrigued us to look at Bhagavad Gita and to look at the principle of Karma Yoga. And that is where we found some, I would say, some solace in the 50th verse of chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, which says Yoga Karmasu Kaushalyam. So yoga, that is Karma Yoga, is nothing but it's a spatial skill in the action. If I have to translate it in a very simple layman's language, it's a spatial skill. Kaushalya, that's a skill. It's an intelligence or an intelligent way of performing your actions. So here we are not expected to do something very different, not at all. But we are expected to perform the same task that we are doing with a spatial skill. So here we are trying to qualify our routine actions with a skill, right? So we say we do meditate. Why do we meditate? Because we want to be more mindful, right? So being more mindful does not mean that you are retiring from all your tasks and then sitting or getting into solitude, right? Perhaps doing all the tasks with more awareness, with more consciousness. So that is a kind of a special skill, and that is where Karma Yoga talks about. So Yoga Karmasu Kausham, that's a special skill in the action. That is Karma Yoga. So, so going ahead, so what is the special skill? So for that, we had to refer to, of course, Bhagavad Gita. So here I'm sharing little about my journey, about how did we how did we explore this special skill in action. So we refer to Bhagavad Gita, but Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between two super intelligent beings. One is Lord Krishna himself and another is Arjun. And then if you are trying to peep into a conversation of two learned people, you cannot understand anything. So you have to take help from other learned person who is able to understand what these two super intelligent people are talking about. So that is why we had to resort to different commentaries on Gita to understand in a better way that what Bhagavad Gita talks about. So we referred to the commentaries by all these stalwarts, and I draw major inspiration of my work from Lokmanya Tilak Gita Rahasya. Majority of the people attending the session, they are Maharashtrian. So I would like to share one anecdote, very interesting experience that I had. So when we decided that I wanted to work in Karma Yoga, so we wrote an email to one very stalwart of this field in positive psychology, in Indian psychology, Professor Anand Paranjpe. And he is now retired professor from Vancouver University. He stays in Vancouver. So we wrote to him that please suggest some readings to start with to understand the basic understanding of what is Karma Yoga. And then in one conversation, he told me that Ajinkya, you should feel fortunate to be born in Maharashtra, to be a Marathi person, because you can read the original script of Gita Rahasya, because there is no other commentary on Bhagavad Gita which talks at length about Karma Yoga, because Lokmanya Tilak has called Gita Rahasya. Rahasya is I would say a summary or essence of Gita is nothing but Karma Yoga. So that is why according to him the essence of Gita is Karma Yoga. So he calls Gita Rahasya as Karma Yoga Shastra. That is the science of Karma Yoga. So he has written 18 essays in Gita Rahasya, and then his translation and interpretation of Bhagavad Gita. So that was our foundational text to decode this special skill in the action. Then we also referred to Swami Vivekananda work by Yogi Arvindo. He has written at length on essays on Gita, synthesis of yoga, and so on. Then another scholarly commentary by Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Then we also referred to a commentary by Vinoba Bhave. A reason was Vinoba Bhave's book is very famous in Marathi. It is called Gita Pravachane. And Gita Pravachane and another book is Sthitaprajna Darshan. So these are the two books. So Gita Pravachane has a very interesting backdrop to it. In 1930s, he was jailed, and as a part of his routine, he used to narrate the summary of chapters, different chapters of Gita to his colleagues there, and his I would say co-prisoners were illiterate. Majority of them were illiterate. So now he has to narrate the essence of Gita to somebody who is illiterate. So he has actually converted the whole essence in a very lucid, in a very easy to understand way. And that is why we refer to that book, because even we wanted to have our narrative in a very simple way. Then we also refer to Swami Chinmayanand. Swami Chinmayanand, you must be aware that Swamiji from Chinmay Mission. And then another very influencing work for me was by Professor Dharam Bhauk. Those who are interested into positive psychology, or those who are interested into deciphering psychological models from scriptures, I think he is the one whom you should refer to, Professor Dharam Bhauk. And he has done phenomenal work on how we can decode different types of psychological models from Bhagavad Gita. Just to give you an example, model of self, model of action, then model of compassion, and so on. A model of leadership. He has decoded different models based on Bhagavad Gita. So these were some of the commentaries that we referred to understand what is the special skill in Gita. But then Bhagavad Gita is called as Upanishad of Upanishad. So Upanishad brings us the essence of Vedas. So, and it appears in the end, so it is called Vedanta. And Bhagavad Gita actually gives us the essence of Upanishad. So we thought that let us go a little backward, and then we also studied these Upanishads, some of the Upanishads, to further strengthen the understanding of Karma Yoga. And then based on this, we came up with a conceptual framework. But then came a very important, very interesting block, I would say, that is Karma Bandhan. Because Karma Yoga comes as, or Karma Yoga is presented as a tool or as a remedy to, I would say, to free yourself from this Karma Bandhan, or to liberate yourself from Karma Bandhan. So that was very interesting. So now we wanted to convince our audience that Karma Yoga is something we should practice, and we should try. But Karma Yoga was a medicine, kind of a medicine to Karma Bandhan. So what was Karma Bandhan? You all know. So I won't spend much time on this. But Karma Bandhan comes with a different. It comes from the philosophy of karma theory. Karma Siddhanta, Karma Vipak is another word we can use for it. So it has different dimensions to it. One is Sanchit, that is your repository of all your actions. So whatever action we do, it gets stored in, let us say, a cloud, maybe, and that cloud is accessible across different lives. Prarabdha is Prarabdha, so something which is just begun. So when we our past actions start to manifest themselves in our life, we say it's prarabdha. And now I always wonder that all these philosophy, it has become the part of our daily life. It has become ingrained in our daily life. So in Marathi, we often say that prarabdha se bhog. So we never say sanchita se bhog. We say prarabdha se bhog. That is something which has begun, which has begun to manifest itself in terms of a good or bad experiences. So that is prarabdha. And then kriyaman, that is ongoing. So these are the different types of our actions, and these actions keep us, I would say, they bound us in this life, and they not only bound us to this life, but they ask us to come again and again to this world, a material world. And unless we exhaust our sanchit, unless our storage in the cloud is null and void, we have to come back. And that is the basic idea behind this Karma Bandhan, Karma Siddhant. Yeah, somebody is saying, Vinaya is saying Prarabdha is cloud. No, I'm saying Sanchit is cloud, is kind of a cloud. Prarabdha is like you have downloaded some data from your cloud and you are using it. Sanchit is cloud. So Karma Bandhan is more like it is on, and as you take birth, you act, and again those actions are coming to Sanchit, and so it is like getting stuck into infinite loop. Then what is the way out of this infinite loop? Then comes the Karma Yoga into the picture, that so it will save you. Karma Yoga is a savior. There are many different descriptions you can find in scriptures, that once you attain that knowledge, it is called Jnana, or in Hindi or in Sanskrit you say Gyan. So once you attain that realization, your actions will not bear the seed for your future actions. So basically these actions won't be stored in the cloud. So we say that karma bija nash. So it destroys the seed of the future actions with the help of Karma Yoga, or with the help of Jnana Yoga, with the help of Bhakti Yoga, with the help of Ashtanga Yoga. So yoga has this ability to to destroy the seed in the action. So it actually does not add to Sanchit. So your cloud storage is not upgraded further. Perhaps it starts, I would say, it starts redempting or it starts exhausting itself over a period of time. So that is how Karma Yoga, or that is how any path of yoga is presented in our scriptures. Even you can refer to different literatures by Santa Vangmai, what we say, and there you will find that they are always talking about getting liberated from this infinite cycle of birth and death through the practice of bhakti, through practice of jnana, or through practice of seva, action. So this is a basic, I would say, the backdrop of Karma Yoga, and that is how Karma Yoga comes to us in scriptures. But then there lies an issue, and the issue is it is very easy to falsify it. One can say that I do not believe in multiple lives. People can say that, right? Because we have adopted everything from West. So even we can adopt this idea from West that I don't believe in multiple lives. And then there is a famous dialogue of Shah Rukh Khan that hum ek baar jeete hain, ek baar marte hain, and all that. So if I believe that I just have one life, so why should I care? Right? So I don't care that I have to come again and again. Perhaps I'm here to enjoy. So I'm enjoying this life to the fullest. So what stops me? So if I scrap Karma Bandhan totally, then Karma Yoga becomes irrelevant to me. Or I don't believe in karma theory. I don't believe in this. What are you talking? This is like Greek to me. What is this Sanchit Prarabdha Kreman? I don't believe in it. So if I don't believe in Prarabdha, if I don't believe in Sanchit, why are you selling me? So basically, if I don't believe in virus, why are you selling me antivirus? So if I totally say that virus do not exist, then antivirus is irrelevant. So it is like that. And then we are actually restricting by saying this Karma Bandhan, Karma Yoga is connected to Karma Bandhan. We are actually restricting ourselves to the people who believe in karma theory, who believe in this multiple lives. Then that was the issue. And then now if we look at the modern workplace, the modern workplace is dominated by Western culture, Western values, because that is what we learn at MBA, right? Some of you may be aware that in MBA we learn Maslow's need of hierarchy, that a motivation, that one need is fulfilled, then I get motivated to another need, then next need, and so on. So what is the purpose? Is you keep on giving some aspirations to your people so that they will be motivated. And this is what I learned. And then when I open Bhagavad Gita, it says Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Now I'm gone. Now I'm confused at what is happening. So this modern workplace is dominated by Western thoughts. I would like to quote here guide of my guide, Professor Rajan Gupta. He did his BTech from IIT Kharagpur, then he did his MBA and PhD from IIM Ahmedabad. And one day somebody asked him about his experience of education, and he said that I got best of American education in top Indian institute. And that was the reality. That is what we are learning in MBA institutes. But yes, I'm fortunate that I'm teaching spirituality to students. So I'm actually bringing them back to Indian thought and looking at the things from Indian perspective. Anyway, so this modern workplace is dominated by Western thought. So these questions are obvious that if we don't believe in karma theory, if we don't believe in multiple lives, what you're talking about Karma Yoga is irrelevant to us. So please stop it. So then we had to revisit. And then obviously the next question could be that is this Karma Bandhan really applicable in modern times at modern workplace? So then we had to answer this question. We had to convince ourselves and the people that you believe or you don't believe Karma Bandhan is applicable to all of us. So it is like if I believe or I don't believe, The sugar level in my blood will remain the same. Diabetes will remain the same if you believe or you don't believe. The reality does not depend on your belief. Reality is independent of your belief. So similarly, we had to come up with a narrative which will tell them that you believe or not, this is what is happening with you. So that is where we try to I would say, revisit or represent this karma bandhan in the modern context. So we began, of course, the karma bandhan begins with karma, that is action. So nature of actions they are inevitable. You cannot avoid any action. And when we say action, it happens at different level of our existence. So actions happen at physical level, actions happen at mental level, it can happen at oral level. So we say kaik, manasik, vachik. So actions happen at different levels, and there are ample evidences in scriptures, or in a couple of times Krishna tells Arjun that you cannot even sustain your life without being active. In other words, action is actually the sign of life. If you are alive, means you are doing some action. Even if we are sitting alone in solitude and eyes are closed, still our mind is thinking about something. If not mind, our breath is on, so action is happening. So these actions are inevitable. So whatever actions we do, effects are also inevitable. As you cannot avoid action, you cannot avoid effect of these actions. Now, these effects of my action or result of my action could be pleasant or unpleasant depending upon what is my desire behind that action. Right? So if I study for the exam and I get results, so that result could be pleasant or unpleasant. And if the result is pleasant, it leads to a development or creation of rag. Rag is not Marathi rag, it is Sanskrit rag. Rag is basically attachment, a positive attachment to the outcome, which asks us to repeat the same action. So that is a repetition of action. And if the result is unpleasant, we try to avoid that action. You look at the children, how they are behaving. We call it conditional behavior, or classical conditioning is one. Then there is different theories. They are also telling the same thing. That pleasant outcome is actually prompting you to repeat the action. Unpleasant action, it creates dvesh in our mind, that is avoidance. I don't want to do it again because I don't want that experience again. So whatever we do, it leaves behind some traces on my mind, and these traces we call sanskar. Again, this sanskar has a different interpretation than what we have sanskar in Marathi. So these are sanskar are more like memory, they are more like traces, or even you can consider it as a conditioning of your mind. So it is a conditioning, and that conditioning prompts my future action. So if I have an unpleasant experience with one of my friends, so next time when I'm interacting with him or her, that previous experience will prompt me in terms of what should I speak, how should I behave, and so on. So it has conditioned my mind consciously or subconsciously, and these memories, these traces are pushing me to behave in a certain way. So again, I take some actions. Again, these actions will have some results. Again, these results will be converted into some memories, and again, those memories will prompt my future action. So now we can see here that my every action is resulting into some or the other trace on my mind, memory, and that is prompting my future action. So this is what we talked about in Karma Bandhan. So every action is getting stored in the cloud in terms of memory. Cloud is what? It's a memory, it's a conditioning, and that is prompting my future action. So we are stuck in this loop. And what is happening here? When we say loop, And when we say you're stuck, it means that we are actually losing the autonomy in our behavior. We are losing freedom in our actions. We get into this action reaction mode. He said this to me, so I responded. Then there is a continuous exchange of words, exchange of emotions, exchange of behavior. So then we subscribe to physics and we say that every action has equal and opposite reaction. But mind you, that action and reaction is a rule of physics, but we are human beings and we are bestowed with free will. But then that free will is lost and we are into this action reaction, and we have lost this consciousness in the action, and that is what it binds us. And that is where this bandhan comes into the picture. So now once we establish this idea of bandhan, that we all are having some or the other bandhan, that we all operate in kind of autopilot mode in some or the other way, then what is the way out? Then comes Karma Yoga into the picture that helps you to perform your action in a different way, so that you are able to transcend this loop. So what is the reason behind this loop? The reason behind this loop is my egocentric desires. If you refer to Santa Vangmai, they call it Vishay. These are desires. So if the seat of my action is not desire, but dharma, that is duty or principle, righteousness, then automatically my action become liberating than become binding. So Karma Yoga is an intelligent way of performing actions, yoga karma kaushalyam, which will leave behind no psychological traces, that is karma bija phala nash, karma bija nash, that no traces, and it will facilitate this transcendence from this loop. So now you are no more stuck in the loop, but you are liberated. So that is how we define Karma Yoga. So now we are talking constantly about the spatial skill, spatial skill. So what is this spatial skill? So it begins with, there are 5 dimensions to it. The first dimension, we call it Mano Nigraha. 2 words we all know because we all are Sanskrit students. So Manas and Nigraha. Manas is mind. What is the function? What is the faculty of mind? Mind is an interpreter of experiences captured by senses, stimulus taken by senses. Lokmanya Tilak was himself, he was a lawyer. So he has given a very beautiful example. He says that manas or mind is like a lawyer. He expands the experiences of the senses. Senses are more like clients and mind is a lawyer. So lawyer is convincingly putting forth the side of his client, but then Mano Nigraha means we are trying to gain control, we are trying to gain mastery over mind. Nigraha is discipline. So we are trying to discipline our mind and not allowing it to get into the hands of senses, because senses are independent. You cannot control your senses. I cannot control what I am seeing right now, right? But I can control all the games, all the interpretations, all the expansions done by my mind. And that is why we say it is not Indriya Nigraha, but we are saying it is Mano Nigraha. That is, mind is actually to be controlled or to be disciplined. But how to do that? Then comes, so you cannot control lawyer. How do you control lawyer? So for lawyers, you need to have judge. That is where buddhi comes into the picture. And that this is not my example, mind you. These are the analogies given by Lokmanya Tilak. So he says buddhi is like a judge. What is the function of judge? To decide what is right, what is wrong, what to be done, what is do's, what is don't, what is dharma, what is adharma. That is the job of buddhi. And when this buddhi attains that equanimity, sama, evenness, that when your buddhi is able to function evenly at extremes, you can control, or even you can discipline your mind. So then Samabuddhi, we have different verses narrating the essence, or I would say importance of Samabuddhi. We have Sukha Dukhe Same Krutva, Labo Labo Jaya Jaya, and so on. There are many such verses you can find in Bhagavad Gita. That whatever happens, you can reflect upon your own experiences. When we are extremely happy, when we are elated, when we are too much excited, that time also we tend to lose the sense of what to do and what not to do. Similarly, when we are faced by a very tough situation, that time also we tend to lose this rationality. And that is where this Samabuddhi comes into the picture, that with the practice, can we retain that rational thinking ability. Then comes, now here you are trying to stabilize yourself with the practice. Then comes Falasha Tyag. Let me tell you that this is not Phala Tyag. We are not renouncing the fruit. The verse Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, that's perhaps the most famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, and I would say most misinterpreted verse in Bhagavad Gita, that karma karo phal ki ichha na karo. It is not ichha. It is because unless you have some desire, you cannot work. There should be some purpose. Without a purpose, that purpose provides a fuel to your action. So without a purpose, you cannot work. So phal will be there. You expect a particular fruit. You expect a particular result. Even when Arjun was fighting a war, he was expecting a particular result. And for that particular result, he was fighting a war. But it says Falasha. That is, how do we define Falasha? That is, I want a particular outcome at a particular time in a particular quantity or magnitude. So when we try to control that, I want this, I want at this particular time, I want at this particular frequency, that attachment, over attachment to the outcome is problematic. And your claim over the outcome is problematic. So Karmanyavadhikaraste, it says you do not have the agency, adhikar, you do not have the right on the fruit. And why does he say so? It's a simple logical thinking. The logic is provided in 18th chapter, where Krishna says that you cannot claim the complete right on the outcome of your action, because the outcome of the action is result of different factors. First, foremost factor is karta, that is the doer of the action. The second important factor is purpose behind the action. What is the purpose? The third important factor is what is the instrument, tools that you are using, karana. Purpose is adhishthan, karta, then karana. Fourth important factor is actually kriya, your actions. And the fifth factor which contributes or which results in the outcome is daiva, that is luck. So you can control, this is 80-20. You can control 80% of all these 5 factors. You can control 4 factors. You can control yourself, karta, you can control adhishthan, your purpose, you can control which tools to be used, you can control what actions to be done, but you cannot control daiva. So if you cannot control 100% of the input which is going in, then how can you claim the right over the outcome of that process? So that is why Krishna says, do not claim the right over the fruit of the action. And that is what Falasha Tag is all about. So you do not focus on the outcome, but you focus on the input. You focus on the process. So you do not focus on, I want to score 100 today. You focus on every single ball that you have to play. And when you focus on that 100%, then automatically your action becomes more error-free. Then comes that, okay, now I'm preparing myself to do to perform a better action, what kind of actions are suitable? What kind of actions are more fulfilling? And the answer is Swadharma. Krishna says that know yourself, know your innate nature, know your capabilities, know your personality, do your aptitude test, and then choose your career. That is Swadharma. Because in one of the instances, Arjun says that I don't want to fight, better I will I will renounce everything and I will go to Himalaya in solitude and I will take sannyas. And Krishna says you are an idiot because you can't do that. Because even if you do it, you can't be a good sadhak or you cannot be a good sannyasi because that is not your vritti, that is not your nature. You are kshatriya, that is your dharma, that is your swadharma. So swadharma is synonymous with sahaj dharma. Sahaj means what comes naturally to us. Sahaj dharma, sahaj karma. So Krishna says that know what is natural to you and do it. Do it with the sense of duty, do it with the sense of righteousness, then automatically the work itself will become rewarding. You ask any musician that what is the most joyful moment for them, and they will tell us that when they're performing, that is the most joyful moment. It means the work itself becomes rewarding. We don't want to depend on reward than work itself. But the problem is, I like to play music, but I am made to work in IT sector. So I need some motivation. So I say, इसमें पैसा बहुत मिलेगा. I will get better money. I will get better recognition. I will get better life. So I try to attach my aspirations than the work because we are not following Swadharma. And then we have Monday blues. That every Sunday night we are depressed because now I have to face Monday and I have to face another week because we are not following our Swadharma. But if we are following our Swadharma, if our innate nature, what comes naturally to us becomes our profession, then automatically, even Sunday night, you will be equally excited to embark on a new week, to have your new experiences at the work. So that is Swadharma. And then comes that why to do all this? Because you are the member of this universe, you are the member of this ecosystem, that is Loka Sangraha. Just to make it more comprehensible, I'm using these terms like interconnectedness and interdependence. So these terms are coming from Buddhist literature, but they are more, I would say, relevant here because Loka Sangraha is that realization of that interconnectedness, that we are interconnected and we are interdependent. We are dependent on each other. So there is a sense of interdependence between the people, between the nature, between all animate, inanimate objects in this universe. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan used a beautiful term. He says, this is like, the world is like a self-sustained ecosystem, and Loka Sangraha is like a world maintenance. So you are not contributing. We are nobody to contribute. We are just maintaining it. We are maintaining that balance. We are maintaining that harmony. That is Loka Sangraha, that I am working for a better good, not for my limited self. I said that I'm just using this term to make it relevant, interconnectedness, interdependence, because Gita and all this Karma Bandhan, Yoga and all, this comes from Vedanta, it comes from Advaita philosophy. And when we say Advaita, there is no concept of interdependence, because when we say interdependence, it means we are accepting the existence of multiple entities, but that is not true. But at least when we are operating in mundane reality, we can have, that could be a basic point, a starting point of inquiry, that, or starting point of discovery, that we are interdependent, and then gradually we achieve that one. So this is what Karma Yoga is. And so then based on this model, we developed a questionnaire because we wanted to test it. Karma Yoga is not a binary concept. That is, Mr. X is Karma Yogi, Mr. Y is not Karma Yogi. It is not binary. It happens in degrees. So like we have different degrees of anger, we have different degrees of happiness, we have different degrees of, even we exist in different degrees. So Karma Yoga also exists in different degrees. And I'm not saying this again, please. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that even little practice of yoga will help you even in your next birth. What does it mean? It means even the practice can exist in degrees. So Karma Yoga can exist in degrees. So if it exists in degrees, so we can measure it. So that's why to measure it, we developed a questionnaire and we used these verses from Gita. I'm just sharing it, those who are interested in psychology study or just to understand. So you can see that Manonigraha is most talked in chapter 2. Swadharma is most talked in chapter 3 and chapter 18, because in 18 again Krishna is talking about Swadharma, Swakarma and so on. So these are the different verses we used to derive or to develop our questions. Now we have a questionnaire with us. So now we wanted to see the impact of Karma Yoga at workplace, that how different levels of Karma Yoga, is it getting translated into something good? So we chose two, I would say, indicators of spiritual experiences at workplace. The one is mindfulness. You must be aware of mindfulness because this is school of yoga, so I should not talk much about it. So mindfulness is about awareness arising through intentionally paying attention in an open, kind and discerning way. It is about being more conscious in one's action. And transcendence, that is increasing, enlarging your circle of influence, circle of concern. And it's a state of experiencing oneself in relation with others, feeling connection with higher power and so on. So it is transcendence, means I'm trying to transcend this limited identity. And with the modern statistical tool, we did the analysis. And here I would like to express my gratitude to Sushma ji, because she was also involved in this study. She helped a lot in data collection and getting more and more people on board. So these were the results that yes, Karma Yoga actually increases your mindfulness. If your Karma Yoga level is high, then you are likely to have more transcendental experiences in terms of your identity, in terms of your existence. So this was more of a spiritual experiences. Then we thought that, okay, now let us come to something which is sellable or something which is more, people are more concerned about. So we thought of taking thriving, that is the state where employees feel more energetic. Then there is a concept of psychological capital, that is where employees are more hopeful, they are more optimistic, they are more resilient. That is, they possess the ability to bounce back from any setbacks or any challenges. And then we were also very much curious to know that whether Karma Yoga is only enhancing the positive aspect or it is also mitigating the negative aspect. That is, it is controlling for negative aspect. So we chose burnout, that is a kind of a stress. And then we found that yes, Karma Yoga enhances thriving, it enhances psychological capital, and also it helps us to reduce this burnout. Another reason of choosing psychological capital was it is closely linked with the final outcome or final performance of the employees. So here you can see that at the one end, it is enhancing the performance, but not at the cost of well-being of the people, but by insulating them from burnout. So coming back to the basic questions, that workplace spirituality, what to be done, how I should approach my work, and what should be the purpose. So here Karma Yoga gives you wings like Red Bull. And how I should approach my work, the answer is with the help of Manonigraha Samabuddhi Falasha Tyag. What kind of work is Swadharma, and why should I work? The purpose of my work, if I enlarge it and if I take it to the Loka Sangra, then automatically I operate in the context of Karma. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to talk to this brilliant, inspiring minds, and I'm thankful. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to take. Thank you.
Yes. So for questions, again, we can use, I will, because if I unmute everyone, probably there will be too much of noise. So, but if you want to ask questions, then I would say you raise that digital hand and I'll unmute you. Supriya.
This is regarding Swadharma that you just said. You gave us the example that like when Arjun wanted to go into spirituality, then Lord Krishna basically told that this is not your path is something else. And if you have to take that in the workplace, we are working for money basically. So how does this Swadharma apply in, I mean, if I want to do something suppose I'm working in a company and I want to be something, but I'm not given that job, I'm given something else, and I have to work in that place because I'm getting the money, then how does that thing work out?
Yeah.
Swadharma work out?
Yes. When we are actually measuring Swadharma at workplace context, we try to find that whether you are finding your work meaningful or not. Whether you are able to find some meaning, you are able to find some purpose, a sense of, you can say, a sense of calling into the work. So my ideal answer is find your Swadharma and try to align your work with your Swadharma. Then money follows. That is my ideal answer. But then if you're not able to follow your Swadharma, then probably try to connect it with Lokasangra, that with whatever you're doing right now, how you can serve the purpose of a greater good rather than just getting motivated by limited egocentric desires. That will help you to find more and more meaning in your work. There was one interesting study that what makes people happy. And then it was found that a group of students were subjected to some materialistic experiences and some students were subjected to a service. And they found that the people students who were engaged in service, they were found more happy because they found some meaning, they found some impact, that whatever they are doing has some impact on the greater good. So that made their work meaningful. So if you're not able to follow your Swadharma, then find some meaning.
Okay,
But that is a very, I would say, a very cosmetic way of
but it's
getting that
also a
skill.
practical problem, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Deepa Kala.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to say on what she had just asked. That's why I just raised my hand. That I think if we are working for money, but whatever work we are doing, if we do it like how it should be done in the full proper manner, then automatically, in some time, you will be able to find out on your own that what you really wish to do or really like. And I think the automatically path also opens up. So there is nothing like how to go about that work. You just do it at that point of time, and over a period of time, as it is there, you will find it. What you like and what you want to get, it opens automatically. And I really liked the lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mrudula, have you raised the hand again or it's from the previous one?
Hello, Ajinkya sir. So I have a question. This is very interesting, but I have a very basic question. So when we are talking right now, we are already in this philosophy for a while. We are convinced with this. That's why we are very much interested into this topic to listen. But when we have to sell it to the corporate or in that world, I would say, because not everybody is ready to even listen or may not be in a mindset to receive. So what is the best way to make them listen or to open this conversation even in the corporate? Because I believe that not everybody is ready for this conversation, even in one-on-one talks. Like you said, if they don't believe, they will not even listen to this, right? So do you have any such experiences which you would like to share?
Yeah, In fact, my experience on the contrary is exactly opposite. Because as I said, at IIM Jammu, I conducted the course on happiness for MBA students, as well as I did it for working professionals. In that happiness course, I used to discuss this Karma Yoga, Karma Bandhan, and so on. So there I found that people, MBA students, they were not much interested. A reason being that they were not exposed to misery of work. They were not exposed to this competition. They were not exposed to stress and what happens when you don't get promotion and somebody else gets. So they were not much open. They used to think that ye kya gyan de raha hai. It is they found it somewhat a little irrelevant. So I find it more challenging to connect to them with these kind of topics. On the other hand, working professionals were extremely curious to learn, because it was like so if you are able to convince them that I am selling the medicine of your ailment, then they will listen. So the moment I say that I'm sure that many of us are stressed, and then I have some special skill which can treat your stress, then they're curious to learn. My experience was different, but yes, what I do is if I have to take a session for corporate, I first I take that assessment of Karma Yoga. I ask them to go through that assessment. I don't tell them that this is Karma Yoga, and once their assessment is done, I give them scores, and then we discuss those scores. And what does it mean? How you can improve? What is the reason? And then they open up. So or there are some couple of exercises, of very simple exercises of 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes exercises help them to realize that they are actually doing something else than what they should be doing. So once that realization happens, then then they are all yours. Yeah.
Jagannath Kulkarni.
अजिंक्य सर, नमस्कार.
नमस्कार.
तुमचं व्याख्यान खूप चांगलं झालं, धन्यवाद त्याच्याबद्दल.
धन्यवाद.
मला प्रश्न असा होता विचारायचा की जेव्हा आपण कर्मयोगाबद्दल सांगितलं आणि मुख्य त्याच्याही महत्वाचं चांगलं वाटलं मला ते स्वधर्म पाळणं आपलं. मला स्वतःला असं वाटतं की म्हणजे ह्या सगळ्यामध्ये आपल्याला अडकून राहायचं नसेल तर आपल्याला आपल्यात एक त्रयस्थ बुद्धी येणं आवश्यक आहे. त्याच्याबद्दल जर आपण काही सांगितलं तर बरं होईल. मला असं वाटतं की स्वधर्म पाळताना आपण त्याच्यात जर गुंतलो तर जास्त आपल्याला त्याचा त्रास होऊ शकतो. आता तुम्ही बढतीचं उदाहरण दिलं आताच 2 मिनिटापूर्वी, की त्याच्यामध्ये सुद्धा की आपण वन्स वी आर एंटँगल्ड इनटू इट देन इट इज ट्रबलसम. पण हा थर्ड पार्टी व्ह्यू येण्यासाठी काय तुम्ही सांगाल तर बरं. धन्यवाद सर.
Okay, thank you. So I would prefer to speak in English only for the reason that I could see there are some people who are non-Marathi. So for that reason I will speak in English. Otherwise मला मराठीत बोलायला जास्त आवडतं. So the question put up by Kulkarni sir is that there are chances that I can get entangled in Swadharma. So how to get out of it? So my take on this is, the moment we are saying that we are entangled in Swadharma, it means it is not our Swadharma, or that Swadharma is actually adulterated by some egocentric desires. So that is why Swadharma comes. How would we realize Swadharma? Only when we are able to achieve some level of manonigraha, samabuddhi, falashatya. Again, I'm not saying that these are more like qualifying steps, but unless we have a kind of manonigraha and samabuddhi, we won't be able to achieve or understand who we are, or what comes naturally to me. And to follow that, it also requires courage, and to follow what you like. And why do we require courage? Because then you will have to control your mind against different desires. I would like to just quote my own example. Again, please don't consider that I am boasting myself, or I am portraying myself as I am the one self-realized karma yogi. But I would like to quote the real life incidents that I joined corporate, and I realized that is not my way of working. So I wanted to come to academics. So I left my job after my MBA. I struggled for almost 3 years to get into PhD program, then another struggle for 5 years to complete PhD, and after 8 years, I joined academics. And in those 8 years, if I compare what I'm earning right now and what my other friends who are who did their MBA with me, what they are earning, you cannot match. But then even I cannot match the kind of happiness I'm deriving from being into academics, because that is what I like. That is my swadharma. So then I don't consider myself as being entangled in swadharma, because that swadharma, that work itself is fulfilling. That work itself is enriching. And that reminds me, in Pasaidan, Sant Jnaneshwar says, Vishwa Swadharma Surya Paho. So he says that the whole world should realize their swadharma. So why did he say that? Because swadharma is liberating. It is not something which entangles us. That is my interpretation. Again, people can have their own with their own experiences.
Sampada.
Very good evening, Dr. Ajinkya. Again, my question is about very practical sort of issues. So right now we are discussing all this, and we have this realization that maybe we are stuck in a wrong place, or what I'm doing is not making me happy. But the point that when we have to make a choice as to what we want to do in life comes very early in our lives. So how to address it at that point, actually, when you are kind of making a choice. So not everybody would realize or find their ikigai, or know that this is something I might. Maybe they didn't come across that, and after a very late point in their life, they realize, okay, I like this. So how can it be addressed at a?
I feel this is more a systemic issue rather than a particular issue of a particular individual, because we are not trained to look within ourselves. So we are not trained to think in terms of what I like to do. We are trained to think in terms of in which career there is a scope. So we look for the scope for career. Unfortunately, we do not look for the scope for myself, that where I will get the scope. It is not the scope of the career. And now, thanks to this digital, I would say, revolution, that any kind of a simple idea can turn into a big billionaire business. So this is, again, coming back to the question, it's a systemic issue that if we are not able to realize what we like, then I think it is our parents' responsibility to help us realize, help us understand, help us expose to as many things as possible, and then test ourselves that where am I best suited. Then probably we can, and it is ongoing process. It is not that this is a 5-step program and then at the age of 15 you will realize a swadharma. That moment, that eureka moment, can happen at any point in time. But the problem is we just need to be we need to remain awake. Problem is we are in that denial mode. So we just look at, okay, engineering has a scope, so I will do engineering. But do I have a scope in engineering? That I don't ask. So that is the problem, and I think that is what we need to ask. So here I would like to share again. I can't say I'm thankful, but I'm more than fortunate to have parents what I have, because they never questioned me that why are you doing this. They only kept telling me that do what you like. That was their simple line, that do what you like, and I pursued it. So I think that is what we have to do for our own children, that we need to be enablers for them.
Varsha.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for a fantastic session, Ajinkya sir. And I have a question. How do we expose the younger generation? When I say younger generation, I mean kids between like 10 to 12 standards, so that they are exposed to these thoughts even before they enter the corporate or the adulthood or the work world, So they have more awareness of these issues that they may face, and they will be able to face them better or make better choices. So would you have any resources to share with us?
My understanding is very limited in terms of student education and this particular area. But what I feel, I have always felt that aptitude test is more like a farce to some extent, again, with all due respect. Because
sorry, I'm not talking about the aptitude test.
yeah,
Just
no,
yeah.
So I am coming to it. So we have to give them an opportunity to explore life. So if we go back to the older education system, that system was based on phenomena. So students were taught phenomena and how to deal with it. So for example, they were taught farming, and the geography will come in context of farming, or science will come in context of farming. So that phenomena help them to understand what they are good at it. Unfortunately, now the education system is changed. So that is why I said it is a systemic problem. But I feel that when I look at my son, I will try to give them as much exposure as possible in terms of the skills he can apply. And at the same time, I will be an active observer, that where he is able to, what kind of skills he is good at, he is most natural to. So right now, when I observe him, I can see that the analytical thinking is very natural to him, the kind of questions he asks me. So then going ahead, I will expose him more to maybe something related to science, something related to research. If he finds it good, I will encourage him. If he doesn't like it, I will encourage him to pursue something else. But I will encourage him to follow his own heart or his own inner inquiry, I would say, rather than exploring outside, how he can explore inside. That could be. But again, to be more specific, I'm not the expert, or I'm not much hands on this particular area.
Can have last question from Vinaya.
Hi, actually, this is not a question. I wanted to add to the answer that Sir was trying to give, since I'm a teacher. So I thought I'll add a little bit. So, so when we talk about the roles that we are playing, and we have to stick to our roles, that's our primary duty to follow. What I tell my students about the stress that they get during their 10th grade exams. I'm a 10th grade teacher, so I tell them, see, a lot of other relatives start calling, "Aapka bacha 10th mein hai na? Your child is in 10th." So what I tell them normally is this is what their role they are playing, and your clan is just looking after you, and that is how you have to manage your stress. So these are the small things. I think if teachers are enabled with what Sir is explaining, I think they'll be able to tell the children how to manage their stresses now in the school, and later. I think teachers should attend your session, Sir. Thank you so much for wonderful session.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think we don't have any more questions. So I would like to thank Dr. Ajinkya, and it was really wonderful hearing you. And I think we all will surely remember to ask ourselves the whats and the whys, the house of house at workspace, and probably we can think and rethink if we are really taking the spirit out of work, and we'll also probably think twice before we use the word work-life balance also. And I think while Ajinkya, you were talking about the Karta, Karan, Adhishtan, Kriya and Daiva, and also the Manonigraha, Samabuddhi, Falasha, Tyag, Swadharma and Lokasangra. Somewhere in my mind, I was remembering this prayer. I can tell it in Marathi because I really like the Marathi version. And that's जे टाळणे अशक्य दे बुद्धी ते सहाया, जे शक्य साध्य आहे निर्धार दे कराया, मज काय शक्य आहे अशक्य काय, माझे मला कळाया दे बुद्धी देवराया. So that is where our Vivek Buddhi, the rationality comes
Absolutely.
into play.
Absolutely.
And that's also the prayer which is used by Alcoholics Anonymous world over. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So while you were narrating, I was just remembering this, and I was so things were just unfolding. Some things that were already known and some things that were put forth differently, because there was a different lens and different kind of shades that we were wearing and looking at it. So really, thanks a lot for sharing this with us. And thank you all for joining, and we will see you in April for Yogaarthi's 4th session. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much, Ajinkya.
Thank you.